Hello students, welcome to yet another interesting lecture. In this class, we'll be discussing on the conservation of natural resources, which is the second aspect of it. And under that, we talk about the importance of conservation of natural resources. So what are now the importance or the merits of conservation of natural resources? Number one, we talk about that the wildlife serves as source of food. In terms of eggs, we talk about the fish, and we talk about meat. So all these are the products of wildlife. So they now serve as food for human consumption. And another thing is that the wildlife conservation serves as tourist center. So this tourist center, it helps for what? For relaxation and pleasure. So in Nigeria, we have various tourist centers, and the major purpose of this tourist center is for relaxation and pleasure. So we also talk about the benefit of water resources conservation. And the first thing there is that it is used for hydroelectric power generation, which is a typical example of Kanji Lake National Dam in Niger State. So which is a form of what? Whereby the whole country, they generate electricity. So if not for the purpose of water conservation, there won't be anything called hydroelectric power generation. And the second importance of water conservation is for agricultural purposes, which is a form of what? Of irrigation. I know when we talk about irrigation, it talks about the artificial supply of water to the farmland to supplement inadequate rainfall. So this conservation of water, it helps for what? For agricultural purposes in terms of irrigation. And another one we talk about that conservation of water resources, it serves as a medium of transportation. So such as in the case of rivers, lake and oceans. So all these, they are can be used as a what? As a medium of transportation. Then we also talk about the benefits of forest conservation. Number one, in the forest, we can use as what? As source of timber, so for construction processes. And also we can also generate firewood, which is a means of cooking or in order to consume or to burn things. So these are what? Are the benefits of conserving forests. And also we now talk about the ways of ensuring the conservation of natural resources. So what are the various ways that we can put in place to ensure that natural resources are being conserved from exploitation or from destruction? Number one is the establishment of agencies for conservation. We have different agencies that work on conservation, that helps in order to reduce or to minimize the use or the destruction of these natural resources. So under them, we talk about the Nigerian Conservation Foundation, we have the Forest Department, we have the Ministry of Agriculture, we have the Department of Wildlife Conservation. So all these agencies, they are put in place in order to safeguard our natural resources. So that's what we talk about establishment of agencies for conservation. And the next way of ensuring conservation of natural resources is the establishment of games and forest reserve. So in the aspect of forest reserve, this is where we have a great number of trees which prevent deforestation. Remember we talked about deforestation is what? The cutting down of trees without replacing them. But in a forest reserve, there are numbers of trees that even after cutting them down, we still replace them, which is a process of what? Of afforestation. So in a forest reserve, we have various types of trees. And also in the aspect of game reserve, game reserve is a place whereby animals are found free living. We can also call them national park. Like the example we have in the national park in Niger State, we have Yankari Game Reserve in Bauchi State, we have Sasha River Forest in Ogun State, and we have Obudu Cattle Ranch. So we have various game reserves in Nigeria. So this game reserve is there to keep animals, wild animals, especially the wild what? The wild animals. So in this game reserve, they are found free living. So that's the aspect of game reserve. And another way of ensuring conservation of natural resources is conservation education. So in this, we are creating awareness for people. We need to educate people on the importance of conservation. Why? Because if people don't know the importance, the benefit of conservation, they will just go and exploit all natural resources. So we need to let people know. We need to educate them. We need to create awareness on the importance of all these natural resources, be it wildlife, be it forest, be it soil, be it air, and be it mineral resources. So we need to what? To educate them on the importance of natural conservation of natural resources. And lastly, we'll be talking on the problems associated with conservation of natural resources. So what are the problems? What are the difficulties that is being faced with what? With conservation of natural resources. So the first one we talk about is soil erosion. So soil erosion is caused by natural wind, rainfall, and runoff. And you know when we talk about erosion is what? The washing away of the topmost layer of what? Of the soil. So one of the problem that is militating against conservation of soil, conservation of land is what? Is erosion. So when there's an overflow of water which brings about the washing away of the topsoil. So which is what? Erosion. And number two we talk about is pollution. Pollution is also a factor or is also a problem that is militating against conservation of natural resources, which could either be land pollution, water pollution, or air pollution. So all these pollution, they are problems that militate against conservation or judicious use of what? Of our natural resources within the environment. So that's the aspect of pollution as a factor that militates against conservation of natural resources. And another one we talk about is overgrazing. So in the aspect of overgrazing, this is where a higher number of animals feeds on a very small piece of land. So this overgrazing, it affects the what? The content, the nutrient content of the soil. Are we together now? So this overgrazing is caused by what? By domestic livestock. As seen from the picture, we could see the numbers of domestic livestock that is feeding on this particular piece of land. So this overgrazing is seen as problem or difficulties that is militating against conservation of natural resources. And also, we want to talk about is what natural disasters. This aspect of natural disaster, we now talk about what such as earthquake, we talk about flooding, we talk about bombing, we talk about fire outbreak, bush burning, hurricane. So all these natural disasters, they are also factors or they are also problems that militate against what? Against conservation of natural resources. We all believe that in an environment where natural disaster occurs frequently or even randomly, hardly can you find all these natural resources or wild animals dwelling in such environments. So this natural disaster can also be seen as problems or difficulties that is associated with conservation. So thank you for listening. Till we see in our next class. Bye for now.